is now made and is the Minister of State Defense. And there is this animosity between them. And that is definitely going to affect...
Yeah, it's not good for the environment.
It's not.
Yeah.
The only person that can correct this is the President and Commander-in-Chief. He needs to call all the political gladiators in Zamfara and show his anger and give them ultimatum and tell them to get these girls out within a week because they can do it. Governor Matawalle, when he was the governor of Zamfara State, he was the one responsible for the release of the first abducted children from Kankara. He played a pivotal role. So he's very experienced, he knows them all, and they can do this. If I am President Bola Ahmed Tinubu, I will call them to the villa, show my anger, read the riot act to all of them, and tell them to go back to Zamfara, don't come back and see me until 7 days, bring all these girls out. It can be done. Look, this is not the job of the military. The military is only called in to clean up the mess. This is a university, a federal university that does not have perimeter fence. A federal university that has had a history in the past of 2 previous abductions of children. 3 were abducted first, and then 5 were abducted, and now this. There is no security there. Daily Trust went in there. There was only 1 policeman or 1 civil defense. And there's no hostel in the school. The hostel, they house off campus within the community, and in the community, in a hostel of about 100 of them, there is not a single policeman, there is not a single civil defense, no military, and only 2 local guards.
But what about the other end of punitive sanctions for people committing crimes? Because something that a lot of legal experts have pointed out is that we never see people prosecuted. We never see people punished. I mean, in the immediate term, you know, you talked about the police. Should the police be given greater powers, and should there be punishment, legal punishment, and harsher punishment for gun-related crimes?
Absolutely. I mean, didn't President Buhari spend the last 8 years telling us that given ultimatum and directives, if anybody is seen with AK-47, he should be shot aside? We've had these directives and they were never acted on. One directive after the other, the NSA would come and scream and say the President and Commander-in-Chief has given this directive to exterminate, to go into the... Nothing happened.
So why do you think it wasn't acted upon?
Right. The reason is a commander-in-chief who wasn't acting like a commander-in-chief. The powers of the commander-in-chief are enormous. You cannot give people responsibilities and sit down and not expect them to perform. That is why I said President Bola Ahmed Tinubu needs to be a different commander-in-chief than President Buhari was.
And you're a pretty international person, as well as clearly, you know, Nigerian. I mean, how is this likely to affect Nigeria's image abroad at a time when the president has been traveling all over the place? I mean, we've seen the US recently issuing a travel advisory to its citizens, and there's, of course, you know, which you're aware of, all the talk about ECOWAS and going into Niger and all the rest of it. I mean, it's a big, how does all this affect?
Absolutely. That? It's a big body blow to this government and to this president. What's the name? Chibok made headlines all over the world. Even Michelle Obama was wearing the hat, and some of the bring back our girls group are in this government. And here you are, the president, the NSA, the ministers of defense were plying the corridors of power in Washington, D.C. And this happened, and they remained there. Nobody came back to Nigeria to talk to the people. So it's a huge body blow, it's a huge embarrassment. I have friends in the United States calling to tell me, we are still going through this. And I have doctor friends in Niger. Well, you cannot protect your children. You want to go and protect Bazoum and a democracy. For goodness sake, you cannot put your house in order. This is a huge disappointment. The primary responsibility of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu is to ask Nigerians. And so far, he has started faltering. The primary constitutional responsibility of any president is to protect his people. And the president is not protecting our children in school. This is unacceptable. But what really hurts me the most is the deafening silence in the north. Is a deafening silence, as if
you
we're
mean from all the clerics and all
everybody in the north,
leaders
absolutely,
and so on there?
in the north. I went to a conference in the United States. All I saw in all the hallways and the corridors were posters of Leah Sharibu and Chibok girls. We are not making enough noise. We are not protesting about where government is wrong. How can we still, 63 years after, still be having our children taken away from school? This is their 7th day. It's rainy season. They're out with that in the elements. And as we celebrate Nigeria's birthday with all soldiers and policemen, we need to say a silent prayer for this children.
It's a tear-jerker, actually. It makes you want to cry. But, I mean, on top of that, Nigerians have been depressingly consumed by the debilitating austerity of their lives. I wonder if you see any cheering prospect at all on the horizon.
Where I'm sitting, I don't see. All the 7 states bordering Niger, because of the biting sanction, is biting on both sides. People have been turned into destitutes all across the 7 states in the north. And all across 7 states, you go back home, people have nothing to eat. People have nothing to eat. This government is not protecting us, is making our life. All this government has done over the last however many months it's come, is made our lives difficult. And it cannot protect the lives of our children that go to school. This is those children whose parents can even afford to send them to school, in a region that is whose education is imperiled. And the north is quiet about it. All people are interested now is, oh, who gets this position. God Almighty will ask each and every one of us, what have you done? We're sending our children to the United States, to Dubai, and we expect to live in peace when we have this many children out of school, when the society is awash with drugs, with guns, and leaders are quiet. Silence in the face of evil is itself evil.
And on that rather sobering note, I want to thank you very much indeed, Professor Usman Yusuf. It's always quite an experience listening to you articulate your thoughts there. And he is, of course, the former Secretary to the Chief of Defense Staff's committee that negotiated the release of the train hostages. He's also a noted public policy expert. Thank you very much indeed.
Thank you, Charles, for having me.